Welcome back to HSC AMA. I'm your host, Julia Nuczynski, and today I've got with me Bryan Mulry, top performing, top producing outbound rep, both at Google and Salesloft. And yeah, super excited to have you here, Bryan. We have probably like 50 questions submitted, not all of them live on the website. So I'm going to make your life difficult for 30 minutes now.
That was quite wild. It is good to meet those of you who I sort of haven't met before. I'm Bryan, I'm a sales coach. And it was really interesting to see so many questions get chucked into that AMA. So I'm excited to get answering some of them. And if I don't answer yours, DM it to me on LinkedIn and I'll send you a voice note instead.
Cool, let's do it. Let's start with this one. Who are your biggest mentors?
My biggest mentors, it's an interesting one. I was sitting on this question when I was looking at it first, and I realized that I have mentors for different areas of my life. So like when it comes to leading people or being kind, one of my mentors in that is Ollie Sharp, one of the best go-to-market leaders in the UK. When it comes to sort of what it means to be a partner, actually my mentor in that is actually my dad. So when it comes to what it's like for physical health, I have a friend of mine, Ollie, who's the healthiest specimen of a human I've ever met. When it comes to sort of my mentors from a business sense, there's a lot of different people that I look up to. James Buckley helps me a lot with like the essence of what it's like to be a salesperson and how to just transfer enthusiasm. And then I've got a bunch of mentors for very specific tactical things, like how not to go crazy when you're running your own business as a sales coach, or how to find new leads, how to look after existing customers. What I would say to anybody looking for mentors is that it takes a village, and you're very much looking for different pieces of a jigsaw rather than one person that can just tell you how to live your life.
What's the best way to rise to the top on a sales team?
That's an interesting one. What's the best way to rise to the top on a sales team? There's two elements of it. There's the internal element and then there's the external one. So from an internal perspective, make sure that the right people in the business know who you are. If you want to rise to the top from, let's say, a promotional perspective, then you need to know who the hiring managers are. You need to make sure that they know you. But internally, the best way to rise to the top is actually to spot the mini opportunities in your job. So for the best example of this I can actually give you is through when I was working in Salesloft and I was working as an SDR. So I was okay. Now I have a claim that I was only ever number two in the Salesloft SDR team. I do call Callum McKenzie was a much better seller than me. But what I ended up doing was in each quarter, in each month, there's a different opportunity you have to capitalize on. Everybody says this month is a bad time to cold call. Doesn't matter if you're in January or August or December or February. Everyone says now is a bad time to cold call, but there's also a really good time to find a specific opportunity. So the best way to rise to the top of a leaderboard is to find the mini opportunities in that month or in that situation that you can capitalize on and get unrealistic gains. One of the reps that I was working with in Salesloft, again, one of the best sellers I've ever met, Jack Nico, he had this customer or this group of customers where he was targeting a very specific market, and he had cracked one of the top five players. He and I spent the next month going after the other four players. And in being able to crack that one mini market, obviously I was able to, with the rest of my work, become the top performer in that quarter. So the way to rise to the top of a leaderboard is to find the mini opportunities in every month and look for that while then being able to do your own consistent work underneath. Yeah.
Super helpful. You make me think about the difference between hard skills, soft skills. How would you rate this, Bryan? What's more important?
What's more important, hard skills or soft skills? Oh no. If I say both, it's a cop out. I actually think in our world, it is more soft skills. It is more how do I interact with people? How do people interact with me? How do I sort of build rapport? How do I communicate? How do I, um, yeah, what impression can people have of me? And the soft skills that are surrounding it are more important in our space. Anyone can teach you how to write an email. Anyone can teach you how to cold call. Anyone can teach you how to build a sales strategy. Um, or even, everyone can learn to do carpentry as a hard skill. Um, but in our space, a lot of it is how you present yourself and how you are perceived. And I think, I'm heavily biased as someone who teaches soft skills. Um, Soft skills are key in this space.
Cool. I just I'll challenge you a little bit on this one.
Hit me with
Obviously,
it.
you are in the, exceptional, like 1% of the industry I've interacted with personally. You won GTM games for the record. Us running this community for 3 years. And yeah, it was a wild run, live 2 week event, cross training, sales marketing, on the spot, Mark Robert. Um, and yeah, I'm just curious, obviously you just open your LinkedIn, you see a lot of people just boasting like that they're amazing in soft skills, especially in combination with ChatGPT and copy paste. Everyone knows how to communicate this skill, but do they actually know how to do it, Brian?
Um, I think as humans, rather than as AI, we're able to very quickly discern that. Um, Most people, you know, I present myself as someone with a lot of soft skills who backs it up with the hard skills. In a 15-minute conversation with me, you'll know pretty quickly whether or not I'm full of crap. And I think as humans, we will actually be able to differentiate the two. Um, so that's why I absolutely think that hard skills are key in this, and that a lot of people are using AI to be better communicators. Um, Actually, do you know what? I'm going to challenge it back on this one. I think that from a soft skills perspective, it is going to be even more important for real humans to have them. Um, until bots start buying from bots, then salespeople need to be able to interact properly with humans. And if you are sort of in a space where you're faking it, as soon as you hit the human element, it falls away. Um, Something's coming in the future where human to human skills will be the number one asset that we have because the robots have all the knowledge. So there's something in this. Anyway, we're gonna go down a big AI rabbit hole here.
Let's move on. There are a lot of questions about methodology. So yeah, people are curious. What methodology do you follow, if any?
It's an interesting one. One of the other questions that came up on this was like, do I prefer BANT or MEDIC? And I think it's a good
Yep.
example of answering this question in that different methodologies will be used in different circumstances. So BANT, for example, should be used as a junior seller and MEDIC should be used as an enterprise seller. Spin selling or gap selling are wonderful in sort of low range B2B markets, whereas MEDIC is much better for, or especially MedPick is much better for your enterprise sales. Um, Even things like Challenger, that's more of a consultative coaching sell, whereas I don't know, you can't do PLG from a coach. Methodologies will fit the or how do I put this? The best methodology is the one that fits the industry that you're in and the situation that you're in. There's a lot of us sales nerds out there that spend a lot of time reading books, on courses, watching videos, things like that, understanding different sales methodologies. But at the end of the day, knowing which one applies to your space will be the key indicator in that. So yeah, I use pretty much all of them in lots of different ways. And I'll pull things from Gap or Spin or Challenger or things like that in my own practice. Um, or even Medic. But what's kind of grounded in all of them is having a clearly defined buying process that you're guiding someone through. And I think that's the main value that comes from these methodologies rather than the methodologies themselves.
Are you a fan of things like clay?
Clay is an interesting one. Clay is going to scare a lot of bad SDRs. So short answer is yes, I like that Clay is out there and it's doing a wonderful piece of I guess it's really disrupting some of the industry. For those of you who don't know, think of Clay and just think of it as like AI SDRing, because obviously lots of different elements to it. It's a really powerful tool. I'm not an expert in that one yet, by the way, but I am a fan in that uh, it will take a lot of the repetitive admin tasks away from people. Why pay one seller to do this when you can get a piece of AI to do it for a tenth of the price? What it will do then is it will force human to human contact to be way more relevant, and it will force it to be way more important. So yes, I absolutely do like things like Clay, um, because I actually think it will raise the standard of sellers, because the bad sellers will get replaced by AI and the really good ones will make a lot more money.
What's a good seller, Bryan?
What's a good seller? I love this. We're getting philosophical now. Okay, to start with my answer to this, I'm going to give you my definition of sales. Sales for me is the transfer of enthusiasm from one person to another. Like my mom was excellent at sales when I was 3 years of age and didn't want to go to bed. Um, and she sold me on a bedtime. In our space, a great seller is someone who can transfer that enthusiasm. Um, it is someone who can spot opportunities and be able to capitalize them in the short term, but also understands the difference between planting seeds and harvesting. Um, in some markets, sales is quite transactional. I'd sort of count North America in that. Whereas in other markets, it's a long-term relational sell. That's more of a Eurasian one. Um, the right seller will be different in both of those situations. But for me, a really good seller is someone who is super enthusiastic about their own product or service or whatever it is they're trying to convince. They have the skills to be able to communicate that to other people. And then, key to this, they have the resilience to not take rejection personally. That's key in a seller. We can go way deeper on this if you want, but I think that's sort of my first top level inclination as to what a good seller is.
Speaking of rejections, how did you get good at cold calling?
I did a lot of it. It's an interesting one. I remember the moment it clicked for me. I was about a year and a half into my SDRing career. I was sitting at home in my it was my new apartment at the time in London. I hadn't been doing enough cold calling because nobody enjoys it at that point until you actually come to the point of enjoying it. And I remember I had 150 leads and I had nothing else to do for that day. And I went, you know what? Let's just do it. And from the hours of 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock, all I did was call, and I focused on myself and all of myself. I just wanted to nail the first 10 seconds. And after 75 of them, completely burned out in my own head, having had a couple of conversations, a couple of pieces of rejection, I kind of went, do you know what? This is fun. I can do this. So how you become good at cold calling is, in my view, mastering the very, very beginning of it. Just the first 10 to 15, 20 seconds of that call, because everything else, you should have the skills as a human being or as a conversationalist to be able to handle. You will never be able to map out every single yes, no answer to a cold call. But what will really help is just practice, live practice. Start out with coaches like myself and do live calls, and managers and do live calls, and then get in the ring and disregard the first 100 that you're going to do. If it takes you 100 days to do 100, that's fine. But disregard them. They don't count. They're just practice. And then we start to count after that. So yeah, that's how you get good at cold calling.
You are also asking about qualifications questions. What are the best ones?
The best one is why. Honestly, the best qualification question is why, or can you tell me more about that? Or I don't understand this. The thing with qualification and discovery is a lot of people stop when they get the answer that they want.
Mhm.
So if you're selling, I don't know, if you're selling a fintech solution and you need to know the number of customers that they have, and you ask how many customers do you have, and they give you the number that's above the qualification, a lot of sellers go, box ticked, cool, let's go. And they use qualification discovery as like a box ticking exercise. What you need to do is you need to go one or two layers deeper with that. So for example, how many customers do you have? Leads into uh, what sort of size are they? Are they all enterprise? Are they all SMB? And then the last section, sort of piece of that is what's your average contract value? Now, if they have 300 customers, but most of their money is coming from the top two, now you know that and you've got a deeper understanding of their pain. Instead of the previous qualification answer, which was I've got 300 customers, box ticked. So uh, unfortunately, the best qualification question is why. But apart from that, it's going a layer or two deeper for each area that you need. That would be key.
What inspired you to become a coach?
What inspired me to become a coach? Um, I don't know if there's anything else I could do. It's an interesting one. There's a massive difference between training and coaching. And trainers get paid a hell of a lot more than coaches. Um, the the training ideology is I will give you all the information that you need in order for you to get better. The coaching ideology is I'm going to ask enough questions until you get there yourself. Um, and I found that as a seller, my number one skill was asking questions. Like it's actually pure curiosity. I truly actually do want to know who you are, how you work, and how I can help. And sometimes I'll be able to teach you things, but a lot of coaching is paradigm breaking. If someone says I'm not good at cold calling, that's a limiting belief. And I need to come in and go, all right, let's examine that and figure out where it comes from. So what inspired me to become a coach is that I had really, really good coaches in my life. I've had life coach, I've had mental health coach, I've had physical coach, I've had a financial coach. Um, and through all of those, they didn't tell me what to do. They asked me enough questions that I figured it out. They guided me in the right direction. Um, and what inspired me to become a coach was that I then saw the power it had on me, the power that I was having on the people I was just accidentally coaching. I think sales is coaching. You're just coaching people into a buying decision. Um, and then when my time came to decide what I was doing next, I accidentally found myself in a coaching role. And I went, all right, I guess I'm self-employed now. Let's go. So I think the last couple of years have sort of been leading to the world of coaching. And honestly, I don't know if there's anything else I could do. I would just naturally fall into it somewhere else.
What were the biggest victories in your time selling at Google and Salesloft?
Biggest victories. That's an interesting one. Okay, they're very different. So my biggest victory in Google was actually getting my team to target. It was an interesting situation. The incentive structure that I had meant that when you hit sort of 300% of your target, it's sort of every additional meeting didn't really count anymore. Just the incentive structure that I had at the time. And within my Q2 of my second year of my first year there, um, I had hit my target within 5 days. So I got to 300% within my first month, and then for month two and month three, it didn't actually affect. I earned no more money by adding new meetings, but I was still doing the work. I wanted to add more meetings. So what ended up happening was my meetings would get routed to other reps, and they would start getting paid for it. And the reason I say this is my proudest moment is that there were some reps who just needed the belief in themselves that they could hit target in order to do it. So by being an example to those guys of here's how you do it, here's how it works. I think maybe my coaching career started then. And also here's a meeting, so you don't have to worry about making rent this month. Here you go. It allowed us all as a team to get better. So sort of my sort of proudest moment, my proudest achievement in there was certainly bringing the team up. My proudest achievement in Salesloft was slightly different. Um, I love being put in a position where it's almost like the position is underestimated. When I first got promoted from an SDR, I took over about 200, 300 of our smallest accounts. And these are the accounts that people had sort of somewhat neglected. My target was fair, but essentially I've been given a lot of accounts where people were like, look, you can work all of these accounts, you might hit target, you might not. Because they were neglected, there was a lot of gold in there. And being able to generate quite a bit of revenue for the business from a book of accounts that hadn't been touched before. I'm really quite proud of that. A lot of our smaller customers got a lot of care and attention they hadn't had previously. I got to be everywhere at once. It was like Mr. Salesloft all of a sudden for a lot of these accounts. Um, and then being able to capitalize on that position and generate quite a bit of revenue and also help a lot of our customers out at the same time. That's kind of my proudest achievement in that sense as a junior AM.
What was the best sales training you ever received personally?
Sales training I ever received. I'm going to give you two answers to this one. The best sales course, formal training I ever did was Jeff Hoffman's training. An incredible sales trainer. Um, People pay him a stupid amount of money, and it is so worth it. Um, However, the best actual sales training I received was when I was a chugger. I don't know if you guys know what that term means in America. It is a charity mugger. It is one of those people that wave at you on the street and go, "Hey, do you have 10 minutes to tell you about my charity? Can I have your bank account details, please?" That was me. I did that when I was 18 years of age, 100% commission role. I was working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, standing on the street waving at people. That was the best sales training I've ever had. I was putting myself out there, getting rejected all day, every day. We had our KPIs. 100 waves meant 20 stops, which meant 8 closes, which meant one person would sign up. So if I had waved 300 times and nobody had signed up, I had to believe in my heart of hearts and in my head of heads that the next 3 people I stop, because the maths are right, mean I'll sell. Um, I think that entry-level sales jobs are some of the toughest environments to be in, but they're the ones where you'll get the best training. And I genuinely think everyone should be in sales or at least a junior level sales role at some point because standing on a street in the rain in Dublin, waving at people, trying to get them to stop under your umbrella and give you their bank account details on the street, that'll add a bit of grit to anybody, I guess.
What's the biggest challenge you're seeing now, Brian? I'm just curious among your clients and generally, on the market of just salespeople, founders, when it comes to building sales skills.
Cool. So there's two. My business is broken into two sections. One of which is where I coach active SaaS sellers, AEs, SDRs, AMs, and the other one's where I'll coach founders and sort of small scale 2 to 15 people businesses who are still doing founder-led sales. The challenge for the founder-led sales guys is that they don't want to do sales, or that sales is a bad word. They are technical people who have built something great and think because I've built it, therefore people will come. And that was wonderful when VC money was flying at everybody and you could raise a Series A simply by raising your hand. Whereas nowadays it is super tough and you can't hire a seller for that. You can't just hire an SDR for that. You need to have the skills yourself. So the biggest challenge I find with founders is that they have the product knowledge, they have rinsed their networks, and they don't know what a sales strategy even looks like, never mind how to execute one. So they need someone to come in, show them what a strategy looks like, build one for them, teach them the skills, and then let them go. And let them sort of get themselves from zero to where they are so inundated with deals that they need a dedicated closer or a dedicated sales center. And then you've got the whole problem with transferring sales skills from one person, from founder to first seller, but that's a whole other story. That's the first set. Second set is with sellers. Sellers right now have a massive pipeline issue. That's it. Everyone says that, I'd love to learn to close better, or I'd love to learn to qualify better. They need more pipeline and they need better discovery with that pipeline. The sellers that are coming to me are saying, I'm not booking enough meetings, and when I am on the meetings, nobody wants to buy. So they need top of funnel skills as well as deep discovery skills. That's what I'm seeing out there.
What do you think is the future of the sales profession in general? People obviously are talking about AI replacing sellers, SDRs. So yeah, what do you think about it?
Yeah, like I said, I think AI will replace bad sellers. It will replace the ones that are coasting by Do you know what? It'll replace the order takers, no problem. Um, I'm not worried about AI taking over sales until robots start buying. When robots start buying, then it's over for us all. But while humans are still buying, then humans still need to be selling. And I guess your question was, what's the future of sales? I think there's going to be less of us. I think, and that I think the job of sales is going to go from outbound, outbound, outbound to attract, attract, attract. It's going to go from how do I get this message in front of as many people as possible, which in my view is marketing, to how do I attract the right people to want to come and talk to me? It's going from, well, it's already gone from a seller's market to a buyer's market, but it's more of a buyers don't know how to buy anymore. So sellers are now going to have to guide people into here's how you buy my product and service, and remove the anxiety from a buying process. That's what's going to be key in the future of sales.
It's very interesting. Bryan, do you think that there will be marketing function like separately even, or are we uniting like with sales and I don't know, just generally go to market?
It depends on the business size. I think large business sizes will always have marketing and sales separate, but smaller companies are going to have to be both. And human-led, like social selling is already huge, but like selling on TikTok, selling on Instagram, selling your B2B software on TikTok, like TLDV do, is wonderful. If anyone wants a wonderful example of how to use TikTok for social marketing, TLDV. They're a Gong competitor and they are killing the game on TikTok alone. Um, there will be a lot of personality led. You won't be buying from businesses anymore. You'll be buying from that person you see on social media. That's what's going to be key.
What's in your tech stack?
What's in my tech stack? Oh, you're asking me at the moment now, a couple of months into my own coaching business. I am full of Google at the minute. Obviously, LinkedIn, Sales Nav, TLDV is one of my call recorder. I am very light at the moment. Um, I would actually check out, and I hate to say it, as someone who used to sell Salesloft, but for really small businesses, Apollo has got a wonderful offering. Um, I spent years shutting them down because my customers were starting to churn to them. But now that I'm looking at the product deeper, they're they're worth checking out. Like,
So many questions in 1 minute left.
yes, indeed.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I love that we're ending on this question. Um, I have absolutely no idea. The only answer that I'll tell you is happy, right? My philosophy on this, and I love that we're getting into this, is I have no idea who I'm going to be in a year's time, 2 years, three, five. I don't actually focus on that. Because if I focus on being in X place in 3 years' time, then what I'll do is I'll get to X place in 3 years' time. And I'm limited by my own imagination. I have absolutely no idea what's possible. So what I do is I focus on the right next step. If I had focused, if one of the main reasons that I sort of jumped out on my own is I could see myself sleepwalking into my mid-30s, waking up one day with a wife, dog, kids, mortgage, and going, well, Christ, okay, I guess this is it now. Instead of because that was what I had wanted when I was 21. Whereas now when I'm focusing on the right next step for me, I have no idea where I'll be, but I know I'll be happy. Um, I love these philosophical questions. I know we didn't get to sort of all of the questions. For those of you that submitted questions and are watching this, hit me up on LinkedIn. One thing that I talk about in every single webinar that I do is whenever you see one of these, like AMAs or webinars, something like that, connect with the person on it and just send them a message saying, hey, I saw you on this speech, this webinar. Reason being is those of us with big internet personalities, when someone asks us for help, we scroll up and we check to see if we've interacted with the people before. And if you send me a message today saying, hey, saw you on that AMA, and then in 3 weeks, 3 months time, 3 years time, say, hey, I need help with this, I'm way more likely to react. Speaking of help, as you know, you can book me on Hard Skills Exchange. For those of you watching this, DM me on LinkedIn and I'll give you a discount code that expires on Sunday. I would love to be able to start coaching you guys. And if you've taken the time to spend 30 minutes getting to know me, let's do a one-on-one. I'll give you a discount code of 75% off for our first session. And then if you decide you want to continue, great. And if not, you get an hour of my time for 25 quid.
Customers replacing robots replacing customers, and yeah, our webinar speakers replacing the host. Thank you so much, Brian. You did my job. I guess your favorite quote. Now let's end it.
My favorite quote?
Yep.
Oh, wow, you stumped me on that one. It's going to have to just be sales is the transfer of enthusiasm from one person to another. That's
Wonderful.
that's all.
Cool. Great featuring you.
Great to meet you all, guys. Thank you, Julia. I'll see you guys soon.